Welcome in, guys, to the AFC North this time. The AFC, I'm going to review the AFC North now, and we're going to talk about, oh God, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns, guys, the skid marks in the NFL. So going into the 2025 draft, you know, I've said a lot of things about the skid marks. Apologies for skid marks, but again, really, I mean, again, you live in Cleveland. You live in Cleveland, and you're a fan of the Browns. And whoever got you into supporting the Browns, the skid marks, your family member didn't love you then, and they don't love you now. Because again, you wouldn't be going through this bullshit with Browns football, baby. But again, I love it because again, it's typical Browns fucking dumpster fire behavior. But let's talk about. So again, couple of was it 2, 3 seasons ago now that they signed Deshaun Watson, the guy they could have got in 2017. It didn't work, and GM Andrew Barry's like, we'll get him now. And when he didn't play in 2021, we get him in 2022. And then he just gets injured. There's more allegations against him now this time. So then they try with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Joe Flacco as well. Gets a chance. It gets him to a playoff game in 2023. So, but yeah, last season they was a dumpster fire. They won 3 games all year. There was a 3 and I think 11 team. Maybe I was wrong, like 3 and 4. But around with that, there was a really bad team. They had the second overall pick, so they really needed some bodies and numbers, and they absolutely needed a clean out. And they should really got. I said this in my Cleveland video a few months ago. I was like, why is Andrew Barry still assembling this team when again he's just been fucking up this team? And Stefanski, okay, 2 playoff appearances, but again, why is he staying up for 2025? It's just mind boggles me. But going in, so then before the draft even happened, they traded Kenny. They traded for Kenny Pickett from the Eagles, and then in return, Darian Thompson-Robinson came in, and then the skid marks got a 5th round pick from the Eagles. So the first pick that they made, they traded the first round pick, the first round pick to the Jags for Travis Hunter. So they moved down the board for Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan. Again, if you're looking at the needs, what they need is they needed a quarterback, they needed a cornerback, a running back, an edge, defensive line, an offensive tackle. They needed quite a lot of work in this team. So again, what I liked here is that Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan, he's a good addition. I like him. I think he's going to really beef up that defense in Cleveland. And then the other thing that I actually liked here in the second round was Carson Swessinger, linebacker from UCLA. Fantastic addition. I think a lot of people were passing on him, but I mean credit to the skid marks for actually getting Swessinger. You got Swessinger and Graham in that defensive tackle and as a linebacker. I think again that's 2 great picks there. And then we go down here, and then you look at the tight end. You go for Harold Fanning Jr., tight end for Bowling Green. Again, he looks like a decent weapon that you could have, so that's a good condition. And then they trade a pick to Jacksonville again. Then they go for Dylan Sampson, running back, which you get. I've seen him on tape from Tennessee. He's a good addition to have. He's going to be a great weapon for whoever plays next season, if it's Shador or if it's the next pick I'm going to talk about, Dylan Gabriel. That's right, yeah, Dylan Gabriel. They drafted 2 rookie quarterbacks in this draft class. Why? Why again? And you drafted Dylan Gabriel ahead of Shador. Now I know Shador has his flaws, but is Dylan Gabriel that much better than Shador? Really? Really? Dylan Gabriel. I scouted him. I wasn't really impressed with a lot of things I saw on his tape. You can go back, but yeah, you drafted Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, and I'm like, he's better than Shador. Okay, take away the last year. I know Mel Kiper was like, oh my god, he's not been drafted. Shador's not been drafted. But again, he's a better prospect than Dylan Gabriel and Tyler Stow and all those other fucking guys. Give me a break. But again, they finally in the again, fourth in the late on in the fifth round, Shador Sanders does get drafted from Colorado, and I'm like, again, this kid has got. I said it in my draft video, my draft review video. He has been fucking screwed over for not just. He's been screwed over for a shit ton of money. He's gotta live He's gotta live in Cleveland. You know, I mean, it's not the best, but you know, he's been fucked over. You're thinking Shador, he would have been great in Vegas. He would have been great in Louisiana with the Saints, but here he is getting pit behind Dylan Gabriel and Tyler Stout. Stout, who's a 25-year-old, almost 26-year-old quarterback, and has injury problems, and also was a backup to fucking Justin Herbert in 2018. But yeah, Shador. Shador gets drafted after that. Then the Browns trade away some picks to the Vikings, to the Eagles, the Seahawks. They traded a couple picks to the Texans, Seahawks again, Jacksonville, the Bills, Texans again, the Chargers, Bears football. The Skidmarks give a draft pick to the Bears, and then the Texans. I'll say for the Browns, they addressed the places that they need to address, but again, my problem was, why are you drafting 2 rookie quarterbacks in a draft class? That doesn't make sense to me, but I'll give them like a 7 out of 10, because again, they addressed the places they needed. They needed a quarterback, they needed some weapons on that offensive side of the ball, and they desperately need some defense side of the ball. I like that, and then do like the Swessinger draft pick. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, you know what? In recent years, the Ravens, again, they know what they're doing in the draft. I mean, it's a well-run organization. Eric DeCosta knows what he's doing. He knows how he's running his ship. So going into this draft, the need, especially for Baltimore, was defensive side of the ball, because again, like I've said with the Bills and the Steelers, especially with John Harbaugh, and I've criticized, why the hell are you bringing John Harbaugh back for 2025 when, again, you're in a championship winning window, but the guy who's the head coach for the past 17, 18 years hasn't been in a Super Bowl for nearly 11 years, 12 years. He hasn't been in a Super Bowl for 12 years, almost. And you have a MVP quarterback in Lamar Jackson, 3-time MVP winner, but he's never appeared at a Super Bowl, because again, John Harbaugh, every time he gets past the regular season, he chokes in on that defense side of the ball. So what I liked here was Eric DeCosta's approach for the Ravens was focus on the defensive side of the ball. So they drafted Malachi Starks, safety from Georgia, first round, 27th overall. Mike Green, outside linebacker from Marshall. Emory Jones Jr., offensive tackle, which I do like that they're addressing a starter on the offensive line. Tadeve Buchanan, linebacker from California. And then they traded away a pick to the Titans, traded away a pick to the Panthers, and to the Jets, and to the Titans again. And then they went back on the offensive line again with Carson Winston, Alabama A&M. And then in the 6th round, they went for Bahal Kane, cornerback from Western Michigan. And they went for a kicker, obviously, because Justin Tucker got released. So they added a kicker into the draft year. Tyler Loco, he's a kicker from Arizona. But yeah, Tucker's been released, rightfully so. I think should have happened last season, but. And then Andreas Pebbles, defensive tackle. Then what I'm liking is that they're focusing on defense side of the ball. And then they go back again in the later rounds here for Robert Longerbeam, cornerback from Rutgers. And then they go for Garrett Dillinger, offensive guard from LSU. My grade for the Ravens, I'll give them an 8 out of 10 because again, only thing that they didn't address, oh yeah, they got a wide receiver, but they got LeJohntay Webster, wide receiver from Colorado. So yeah, they had a good draft. I'm gonna give them an 8.5 out of 10. I think it was a real good draft. I mean, again, Eric DeCosta knows what he's doing in Baltimore, so good draft for them. And then we go on to the Cincinnati Bengals here, which again, my thing is, why did they go? They drafted first overall, in the first round pick, 17th overall, Shamar Stewart, defensive tackle from Texas A&M. Again, what was so impressive about going for Shamar Stewart in the first round? Because I wasn't impressed with his tape, but I think there's a way better defensive ends that you could have gone for in this draft. Again, the defense side of the ball, which the Bengals needed the most, because last season all their defense was really bad. Last year they needed an edge, defensive line, inside linebacker, safety, linebacker, and then also they need a new start on the offensive tackle because Alex Kapler has been released as well. So then they draft Demarius Knight, linebacker from South Carolina. Hey, and he's a good addition on that defensive side of the ball. Dylan Fairchild, guard from Georgia, which again, what I'm liking, they're dressing a guard. They got two guards in this draft, Dylan Fairchild and Jalen Rivers from Miami. And then after that, they go for a running back in Ty Brooks, running back from Texas Tech. And then Barrett Carter, linebacker from Clemson, in the 4th round. And then they traded the last pick to Bears football. Again, I wasn't impressed with the Shamar Stewart pick, so I'm going to give them a 6 out of 10 maybe. It was an okay draft, but could have been better, because again, you're in a championship window. Do you really think that Shamar Stewart's going to be the guy? I don't know, but Bengals fans, you can let me know. Then the last team we're going to talk about on the AFC North side of things is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, again, going into this, they had to address the quarterback position. They needed a defensive line, they needed a running back, they needed a safety. They needed a new starter on the offensive side of the ball. And then the first pick they go for is Derek Carmen, defensive tackle from Oregon. I'm a big fan of him. I think I did do it. Did I do a scout report on him? I may have done a scout report on him, but I did see his tape. I was really impressed with him. So I think that's a good addition. One addition I think that this was a pretty good steal, especially on the running back side of things. With the running back class was Caleb Johnson, running back from Iowa. I was impressed with him on tape. I think he's a steal at 3. I think he would work great. I think he's going to work great, especially. I think he's going to work great. He's going to work great with Will Howard. I think in that offensive line, he's going to be a great weapon for him. And then you go back on that defensive side, which you go for Jack Sawyer, defensive end from Ohio State. Then you trade away, go for picks to the Chiefs and the Jets. Then later on in the round, you go for Johan Black, defensive tackle from Iowa. And then you finally do draft a quarterback, Will Howard, quarterback from Ohio State. I'm like, again, I understand it's about numbers, but again, you were still on the board. Jackson Dark was still on the board in the first round when you had the first round pick. You could have gone for a Jackson Dark. You know what I mean? I think he has more upside than a Will Howard. But again, you would draft. Again, it's all about getting bodies and numbers. Again, you're going for Will Howard. You have Mike Tomlin. He's not the best at developing young quarterbacks, so can he pick it? Let's see what happens there. And then after that, last 2 picks that they got Carson Brewer, linebacker from Washington, and then Dante Kent, cornerback from Central Michigan. What I like about the Steelers draft approach was that they focused on the defensive side of the ball, which again, for many years. It's been a running theme at this point, but for many years, every time, Mike Tomlin's never ended the regular season with a losing record. We understand that. But when it comes to playoff time, Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in 8 years. It's been 8 years since Tomlin last won a playoff game. And the reason why he doesn't win a playoff game, because he's on his side of the ball he knows, the side of the ball he knows best, defense, always, his play calling on defense doesn't fucking work, and his defense gets found out. But hopefully after all this, you're hoping that at least they can win a playoff game this season for the Steelers. Because if he doesn't win a playoff game this year, and you still, you have a decent regular season, and you don't have a losing record in the regular season, but you don't win a playoff game again, then when is it time to get rid of Tomlin? Is Mike Tomlin ever going to leave? Because again, the media might like him, but again, it's just Groundhog Day with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a good regular season. They finish on a good winning record in regular season. Then come playoff time, and his defense just crumbles here. But what I like here is that they've addressed that, so there's no excuse for Tomlin to fucking choke in the playoffs, unless it's fucking Mike Tomlin, who again, I've been saying for a while now, has to probably move on. They need a new voice in Pittsburgh. But that'll be a video for when I do the preview of the Steelers. I'll talk more about that. But overall, for the Steelers, I'll say it's a 7 out of 10. I think it was again, they addressed additions that need to. I think they could have gone for a Jackson Dark, maybe a Shedeur Sanders here, but Will Howard, I don't, he's a good addition to have, but I think Shedeur has more upside, and I think Jackson Dark has more upside. I think you kind of missed I think you missed your I think you missed the boat with missing out on those two guys.